Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 14th audio chat on the Q News Patriot Rumble channel. I am the Q News Patriot. My name is SG Anon. I'm coming to you tonight with a reattempt of an interview that we actually recorded several weeks back, Ms. Scodari and I. She is a proprietor with the quantum technologies, if you want to call it that. She has something called a plasma medbed technology that she actually utilizes in a healing center. And she's here to talk a little bit about that and the overall basis for how the quantum field that gets created by these technologies helps our bodies to really restore themselves. Along of us, a lot of us along in this journey have been reading for a while and studying for a while about quantum technology, frequency technology, both for the good and for the bad. And I think one of the things that we're not fully diving into, or maybe that we could stand to draw a little bit more attention to, is how quantum is really sort of the basis for the next generation of technological advancement and conceptualization for our reality here in the world. This is akin to all of the industrial revolutions being put together, learning how to tap into an energetic spiritual field that exists here in the world, what I believe to be a field sustained by the Holy Spirit of the living God that enables us to tap into certain power and energetic capability, ability to affect our reality at the frequency level, the ability to generate things like light speed transmission and communications, and eventually light speed style engines and things of this nature. It all stems from the basis of this quantum consciousness that we all get to live in and breathe in and be a part of. And so without further ado, Ms. Scodari, I really appreciate you coming on today. This is a topic that's really important for a lot of patriots out there. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
So, last time we had a really good discussion, I thought, but we had some audio issues and some just technological problems that I had on my end, which prevented the show from airing. But we talked a lot about how the fields that these technologies, like the one that you, own and use down in your practice, if you will, we talked a lot about how the field itself is sort of a channel for, or a bubble, rather, is a better way to say it, that allows the body's natural connection to what I call, the Holy Spirit, that cellular rejuvenation connection that intersects at the DNA level. It allows it to do its job and bring the body to full wellness and sort of a peak understanding. Right, the body wants to heal. In your experience with these, technologies, and I'd appreciate knowing how long you've been using them as well. What have you seen as far as healing relative to the conventional therapies that people would know as modern medicine?
Well, I will say that people come to us not having gotten results from modern medicine. I opened the EE System Center in September of 2022, so we just came on our 1 year anniversary, and then in May of this past year, I included the plasma med bed. And the reason why I included the plasma med bed was because I wasn't seeing good enough results or fast enough results with people that were coming in with serious cancer. So had a conversation with a man just by accident that sells this, told him I have an EE System Center, that I would like to see, quicker results, better results. And he told me about this technology, which immediately I knew my spirit led me to him, because it had been very heavy on my heart that I wasn't able to help some people. Like 3 of the people with cancer passed away. And so I really felt like God brought this man into my life to tell me, and I was supposed to buy this. And so we've had it since May. And initially, like before we go into any video testimonies or BioWell scans that you will present for the audience, my mother. I brought my mother to the center twice a week for about 2.5 to 3 months. My mother has macular degeneration, wet macular degeneration. She'd been getting shots in her eyes for like 2 years. And it was stopping the wet, right, the bleeding, but her vision was still blurry. And so she said she would be willing to try the plasma med bed. And she'd been coming to my EE System Center months before that. So when I first opened, she came to my EE System Center. But not a lot of changes in her eyes. And then she also had very painful bursitis in her right hip, and it was like difficult for her to walk. My mother's 94 years old, God bless her soul. She's doing amazing. But you don't want to see somebody you love, let alone your mother, struggling with health issues like this. So she committed to coming, and after about the eighth session with the plasma med bed, she did both. But the difference was this time we added the plasma med bed, and we directed the light bulbs, which you will see when we show you the one test video. We put them so that it was facing her eyes, so they were close. They were 6 inches away from either side of her head, and 30% of her vision cleared up. So that was great. That was like about 8 half-hour sessions. And then with the bursitis, we moved it 6 inches away from her hip, either side of her hip. And she, after about another 8 sessions, she completely pain-free. And I wanted to keep bringing her because I wanted, her eyes to continue getting better. But it's a long day and a long drive for my mom. So we didn't do that. She quit coming. But months later, I'll keep checking with her, It's been months now since she stopped coming. And she still says, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So that's, of course, that made me really happy. So she knows she can always come back if she needs it for anything else. We had a woman who dropped a shower head on her foot, and it was incredibly swollen and very painful. And she used the light bulbs, again, the plasma med bed, we call it. Caveat here, this is not the med beds that everybody's been waiting for. This is using some of that med bed technology, but it's using plasma light and noble gases and also scalar wave. So again, we focused it on her ankle, and within a half hour, the swelling was gone and the pain was gone. So that's pretty quick results. We had a woman who was coming who had a cancerous tumor, and she was sleeping there every Wednesday night for about 4 months. And there wasn't showing a lot of results in her test results in terms of the size of the tumor. We put her on the plasma med bed for, it might have even been an hour at a time since it was more serious. And after, I think it was like, originally it was a half hour. She was going to somebody else because I didn't have mine yet, but I told all my members with cancer about it. So she was going to somebody else. She was doing a half hour there. When she came to us, she was doing about an hour. So in total, she did about 12 sessions. And when she got the test results from, I guess they measured the tumor, the size of the tumor, it had shrunk by 50%. She had like 60% here, 50% here, 40% there, kind of averaged about 50% shrinkage in that tumor. And then became more operable. So they were able to operate and try and remove the rest of it. So those are some, those are just a few of the results that we've gotten. We have a couple of video testimonies and a couple of BioWell scans. A BioWell is a technology that, again, uses energy. You put each of your digits, your fingers, into this machine, and it can measure various things: your energy level, your balance, your chakra balance, your organ, how well your organs are functioning, how much stress is on your organs, how much stress is on different, like your nervous system, your respiratory system. So we have some of those test results for you as well.
So really, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is another version of, or another extension of, maybe that's a better way to say it, another expression of quantum scalar wave healing. And that's really what we're dealing with, or wellness, I guess, is what we technically call it on air because it's not FDA approved. But
Right.
this is tapping into the resonant frequency, sort of like the Rife technologies of the 19th century, right? Where Professor Rife had determined that every cell in the body, the organ cells, all the various subdivisions of that group, the tissues, the blood, etc., all had their own resonant wavelength that corresponded to a frequency emission from those cellular nuclei DNA. And sort of we're seeing the same expression here, right? You described it as a bio well. That sounds like a bubble in space that you can sort of put your body into, and the natural functionality of the cells, the electroconductivity, the ability of the electric field that your own body generates to self heal and self determine its own destiny, is able to function at a higher level. Is that a clear understanding?
That makes, yeah, that sounds great. You worded that fabulously. And I'm really glad you mentioned Rife because this technology, this is Nikola Tesla technology. Now, Nikola Tesla created it. Invented it. He passed away. Antoine Priori invented it. And then about 7 years ago, Dan Winter and Paul Harris made it more user friendly. It wasn't something that you could easily just transfer from one place to another. So they made it more concise. And that's what we have now for like the last 7 years. And for your audience, for people that are struggling with health issues, this is good for anything. However, again, another caveat is the technology, as Gianon suggested, it's not the technology that's healing the body. This technology, as well as the EE system, they're similar. Um, it's creating a higher frequency energy. So I've been told it's a 5D energy, right? So that's a higher spiritual frequency. We are energy. Our bodies are made up of energy and frequency. So when our bodies are put in this in the field of the plasma med bed in between these two light bulbs, it is getting the higher frequency energy, the higher spiritual energy it needs to heal itself, right? Because we're divine beings. And as divine beings, our bodies are designed to heal themselves. But because we're living in a third dimensional world where, there's so much painful and negative emotions, and there's so much, toxins in our air and our food, and, our relationships aren't healthy, we can't heal. Our bodies don't have the food that it needs to heal. We're living in a third dimensional energy. So think about if we could, and as a matter of fact, that reminds me of, I'm forgetting the man's name, but he's very aware of, you know, uh, energies on other planets and frequencies and everything. And he said that if we were to live in a fifth dimensional world, we would be in perfect health. So, for whatever time you're at one of these healing centers using the plasma med bed or the EE system, you are living in that fifth dimensional energy field that gives your body what it needs to start to heal itself.
So based
Uh,
on that comparison, when we're talking dimensionalities, this is something I think that a lot of patriots out there have a hard time wrapping their brain around, because you're talking about dimensionalities of the human being, right? We have physical sensory systems that we interact with on a real world level right here, right now in front of us, this red hot minute. Then we have other sensory systems, which we know have been underdeveloped or suppressed for generations, conceivably centuries at this point, which would allow for a higher dimensional understanding. But I guess what I'm driving at by laying this basis is when we talk about 3D, 4D, 5D, we're talking about low frequency, mid frequency, high frequency.
mhm.
Um, is that correct? Is that an accurate assessment? Because
Well,
when we talk
it's
about a
definitely higher frequency, right? But I mean, ultimately, I think there's many more frequencies above the fifth. I, I'm
okay,
sure you, I'm sure you know
which would
that.
make sense because of the nature of the reality that we live in, this quantum medium that expresses itself here right now in front of us, right? How is everything sustained? It has to be sustained by the same basic underlying spirit. Conceivably, if spirit is able to produce if this time space reality that's sustained by spirit is able to produce um, within the construct of the world, an entire sustainment of all nature, of all flora, of all fauna, then we have to acknowledge that that same spirit that's excuse me, that sustains this quantum reality is also limitless. And so, as I understand it, as I'm putting this together, because I'm trying to help my audience sort of crunch this down, this is an issue that is difficult in a lot of ways to conceptualize and encapsulate in an easy to digest form. But we're talking about creating the environment a higher frequency, maybe not high frequency, but higher relative to the standard low frequency existence that's been created here in the world by this cabal, by this deep state mafia at the very top. We're transcending that for a time, for a period of linear time here in the world, by putting ourselves in the field that these devices and others like them, but we're here to talk about these plasma medbeds specifically, that these devices create. And we've actually got a video here on this end. I'd like to transition into it because I found the
Yeah.
video just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Can
It's
I give a
exciting.
little backstory on the light bulb video, right? Miss Gina?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
So no coincidence. It was either the day before, the day of, right within the window of the time that I had my plasma med bed delivered to the center, the light bulbs in the elevator went out. Now that is not an accident. Now I knew that this technology had power to light up a dead light bulb. So mm, we were setting up on a Sunday, my partners and I were setting up this technology, and I remembered the light bulb, and I called my landlord, and he said, or I texted my landlord, and he said, it's already in the recycling bin. So I literally like was trying to get into this recycling bin to get this dead light bulb out so that we could, show our members that come to the center the power of this technology. So that's what you're about to see right now. You're going to see the plasma med bed. You'll see a light bulb on either side of the massage table, and underneath the massage table is the actual generator that the light bulbs are like connected to. Okay, so go ahead.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
So what's occurring here is we have a light bulb that no longer conducts in a lower frequency field. We're going to play this again for everyone just so they get a chance to see this. We have a light bulb that doesn't conduct in a low frequency field, something may be broken, damaged, tarnished, whatever, but in a much more pure frequency environment created by these lights, we have essentially electrical conductivity restored. And this is a really important point, I think, to highlight for everyone out there, because what are your cells? They're primarily organic extensions of electrochemical impulses. Our thoughts are electrochemical in nature. Our very nervous system is the highway by which impulses generated by thoughts and feelings and the physical real world experience. It's the electronic information superhighway that informs all of the body, right? The being, the host, you as the organism, in real time, every millisecond of every second of every minute of every day, as you go through and walk in this journey that we call life. And so, having the electrical conductivity portion being addressed in technologies like this and in further healing technologies and advancements that are going to be made on these sorts of technologies in the here and now, this is an important discussion to have. The human being is a massive switchboard. The human being has a remarkable potential as far as emittance of joules, emittance of energy. You can capture this through Kirlian photography and various different, high density image scans, and you can see the energetic nature, if you will, that comes off of the human electrocellular field, and that's a field that gets produced around your body, vis-a-vis all of the electricity and the energy that courses through you, right? You're sustained, your cells at least are sustained by that Holy Spirit that creates worlds and that breathed life into the body, right? He breathed into Adam the breath of life. And so that's exactly what we've got going on. We have to remember who we are. Let's move on, Ms. Scodari. I'd like to, if we could, move to the next video here.
Okay, Jerry.
Yeah, give me just a moment on this end. I'm going to pull it up, get it ready for everyone. I thought his testimony regarding the technology and his experience at the Love and Light Wellness Center was very pertinent. Give me just a moment here. We'll have this shared. Share. All right.
Hi, my name is Jerry. I live in Miami, Florida, and I came to the healing center for many problems that I have. I got here having maybe 2 or 3 sleepless nights prior to coming here. I mean, 8 hours of just laying in bed and not sleeping. But I did get probably more time sleeping last night than I did for many nights. And I woke up feeling good, relaxed. So that was a good sign.
It was actually 8 days.
I've been here for the last 7 days, and the difference between when I got here and today is remarkable. I feel more energized. I feel like I'm accomplishing a lot on the recovery. And not only that, but seeing the results of the scans that we're doing, which show huge improvement, gives me great hope.
Can you go back? Can you go back, SG, and I'll explain that scan?
Certainly.
Okay.
Move the video back
Now
for a
this
moment.
man, yeah, pause it there and maybe enlarge it if you don't mind. This man is a friend of Mel Carmine, and Mel Carmine is in Cape Canaveral, Florida. He has an EE system center with this technology. He literally just got this technology 2 days ago. But Jerry flew to New Jersey to my center because he didn't have any time to waste. He came in with severe prostate cancer, and the scans that you're going to look at here are looking at his organs, and in the top is actually, that's before, of course, and you've got the to the left where you see the one arrow, that is the prostate. There's a renal prostate and a sacral prostate. So I think that's the sacral prostate. It's out in the yellow, in the dark yellow, as a matter of fact. And ideally, we want it more towards the center. And so it was showing that this organ was really struggling. Now, the other side of the left, the other side of that is the renal prostate. And again, it's just about to the dark yellow. On the right side, you've got the prostate again on the left side of that circle, the right circle. It's in the far yellow. And then there's the next one, I can't read it, but that was obviously, I wish I could remember, but it's been a while. If you look at the top right, that's his respiratory system. Now, when Jerry came to us, his energy was incredibly low. His respiratory was not good. He was very mentally out of it. He couldn't hear. And this scan was after one night. So he had slept in the center one night, and then we took the before scan. And after 8 days, not 7, we took this after scan, and I want to show you the improvement, if you don't mind enlarging that again, SG and on. I'll show you the vast improvement that he got on this. Now, so at the bottom in the left, that's his sacrum prostate. It's all the way in the green. And then the bottom left to the right side is the renal. And again, it's in the green. So it went from the dark yellow and the light yellow to the green on both sides. The respiratory went from the dark yellow top right on the bottom scan, went from the dark yellow to the green. Again, I don't know what that is, what that second arrow is, but then again on the left side of this second circle, the right circle, is his prostate, his sacrum prostate, and look at the improvement. That is huge. Now you're going to see more as you play the rest of this video. You'll see what his blood results from the doctor were 2 weeks before he came to the center and one day that after he got home. The day that he got home in an evening, the next day he went and got the blood work done to show his PSA levels, which is his prostate cancer levels. Okay? You can go ahead and replay that. Push play again.
Improvement gives me great hope.
Blind gut. So this is the blood test now. If you want to pause that. We wrote up top what the results were, but you can vaguely see that his before was 40.15. We have it written, but you can vaguely see a 4 there, a 40, and you could definitely see the 14 if you look closely, the 14.9. So that's the huge drop that this man had. Now, to speak to this, the people that we see make the most amazing results are the people that are committed to coming regularly. Because Jerry lived in Florida, we just let him stay there for 8 days and 8 nights. We do offer, as does Mel Carmine in Cape Canaveral, Florida, we offer like retreats where you can sleep there every night and spend some hours during the day. We just ask that you eat your meals outside of the center. But we're seeing people that do this, that do like a retreat vacation at the center. We see them get really great results. Jerry is just one of them. So you'll see another video after this with a man named George and his son Bo, and again they made a commitment to coming every Wednesday night and sleeping there every Wednesday night. For the people, we didn't get sick overnight. We've been poisoning our bodies. I should say they've been poisoning our bodies. We've been eating the wrong foods. We've been in a negative energy field, on and off our whole lives. So we can't expect that 2 hours in either of these technologies are going to cure us overnight. The thing about the plasma med bed is it's different from the EE system in that it's a broad spectrum scalar wave. So if for lack of a better expression, it's a better quality, it's more concentrated, and it's a purer scalar wave because he was able to harness the broad spectrum aspect of it, where Dr. Sandra Rose Michael apparently didn't have that to the same degree in any event. So that's why what we do at the center is we combine both. Ideally, what we like is for people to spend 2 hours or an hour and a half in the EE system, because then their energy frequency is already raised. Now they can receive so much more from the plasma med bed. We do have some test results where we just did a before and after the plasma med bed, so people would know that in fact, it's working in and of itself, even without the EE system. But you just get better results with the EE system and the plasma med bed. So with that, I'll let you replay it. And that's probably just about the end.
All right, let's go ahead and move to the next.
The next one's a little bit of a tearjerker.
This
is again another friend of Mel Carmine, and the man and his son came to the center every Wednesday night, sleeping there every Wednesday night for months, and got amazing results.
All right.
And this does not include the plasma med bed, but just shows you the power of each of the technologies.
Hi everybody, my name is George Falcone, and I'm here at the Boundless Love and Light Wellness Center in Hillsborough, New Jersey, and I'm just here to share my testimony with you tonight and share particularly about my son Bo. We've been coming here by the grace of God since February. We've been sleeping once a week in the scalar energy technology here in Hillsborough. And I'll introduce my son Bo to you. Come here, Bo. Just say hi to everybody. I'll explain to you about Bo. And can you see him? Yeah. Say hi. Hi, Bo. Bo. So we're here for another Wednesday night sleepover. That's good. Thank you. I'll share with Bo his disorder that he was born with. It's called Carnes-Sayre syndrome. This is a DNA mitochondrial related disorder that affects his growth, his eyesight, his ATP cycle. And he's currently in CHOP, Philadelphia, in a study group with about 30 to 40 children and young adults. It's a fairly new diagnosis, and it's, like I said, a DNA-related disorder that's passed down through the generation and gets more corrupted with each generation, so they think. There's no cure, so they say. We've been sleeping in this technology since February. I'll tell you, we went to a doctor's appointment in CHOP the week before we started coming here. The previous doctor's appointment before that was a year before. In that whole year, he did not grow. He did not put on any weight, and his growth was basically stunted. He was a 13-year-old in a 7-year-old body. Very concerning, obviously. They have heart issues, eyesight issues, things to be concerned about. So we've been sleeping in this technology every Wednesday since February. Since February, 5 months, he's grown 4 inches and put on 10 pounds. An absolute miracle for someone with his diagnosis. And the only thing we did different is come here to this wonderful place. So it's truly a miracle, a gift from God, and he's doing real well.
Oh.
How you feeling, Bo, since you've been coming?
Very good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you had a little more energy?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's been a lot easier to get up in the morning.
Right.
Since we started coming, I used to sleep till like maybe 12 in the day. Now I'm getting up at like 9.
Part of his disorder is very lethargic. His ATP cycle's interrupted, so he doesn't have as much energy. He'll sleep 12 hours with no problem. But now he's getting up earlier. He has more energy throughout the day, and we're seeing amazing results. So
And
it's
how do you
really
feel
incredible.
about having grown?
Good.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like 4 inches is a big deal. I used to be able to pick him up like, you know, he's got a little weight to him now. So it's an amazing place. Marie, thank you for everything. And guys, if there's anything that's not working for you in the traditional, treatment, you got to try to scale energy. You have to. It's amazing.
When I hear stories like this, it always brings tears to my eyes. We got so much good news just tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm like really, really grateful that you came and that, we get to share in the joy of you and you. Really happy that we get to share in your joy. And I'm so happy that we were a part of helping you. So thank you.
We're not out of the woods yet, but man, we are really making progress.
Just keep coming.
I cry every time I watch that.
It's such an incredible testimony, and it speaks to why these types of technologies are so crucial to be brought to market, and it speaks also to why I think it's important for the Patriot community out there to realize that next generation advances upon this technology already exist. They're what you would call military grade technological medbeds. Those things have been in the vernacular now for some time. But the baseline components of the technology and just the overall functionality of how those technologies work exist right here, right now, in the present moment, in the present time, in the real world space. There are systems, there are centers, there are retreats, as you highlighted earlier, Ms. Scodari. There are ways where we can begin to intersect with and build out the alternate healthcare system. And we've got about 5 to 10 more minutes here to wrap this up. And honestly, I'd kind of like to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about it in 2 parts. I want to talk about the process of Patriots coming to centers like this. What's a reasonable expectation for expense, because individuals that own these types of centers have to be able to pay for them as well. We're still stuck in that particular form of the system, right? but also if someone is looking to invest in the technology, either for personal usage on their own property, or maybe in preparation for opening some sort of business venture of their own, what does that expectation financially and otherwise look like? Let's handle those in two parts.
Well, first of all, I do want to say that there is the center in Florida. There's another center in Alabama. Let me tell you where. There's another center in Alabama. Um, it's called Energy Spaces, and it's in Dothan, Alabama, that has both the EE system and the plasma med bed. Just the plasma med bed alone, um, it is in about 8 different states. So if people are, can't afford this, email me at info@boundlessloveandlighthealing.com. Just direct the email to Marie so that I get it. And I can tell you where to go. I will say that there's one in Skokie, Illinois, Washington State. There's 4 in the state of California. There's one in Las Vegas, one in Oregon. There might be one or two other states, or a few other states. So please feel free to inquire on that. With regards to the cost, I'm struggling with that because it looks like the inventor or the person that's manufacturing it is increasing the price. It was 29,000. I think they want to raise it to 34,000, which I'm not happy about. But we do have, if somebody really wants to buy it, there's a little bit on back order also, so you would be waiting, like much people waited for the EE system. You'd have to wait probably a good 3-4 months before that technology would be delivered to you. But there is a website in the notes below that SG Anon will put in, called plasmamedbed.com. And you can go there and read about it. You can also visit my website. I've got a write-up on this in more layman's terms, and I have several videos on the plasma med bed as well. So, feel free to educate yourselves, for whether it's for buying or whether it's for, just wanting to get to a center. That's what I can tell you. There's a form on there that you can fill out if you're interested in buying. Okay?
I appreciate you going into a little bit of detail about that, because it is two different sides of the coin, right? We have some out there within the Patriot community who are empowered by their own exposure, their own life circumstances, to invest large sums of money into things like this technology, the rollout, the build out, the design, the marketing, right? The increasing the awareness of the technology and rolling it out to market. And then we have others within the community, a great deal of the Patriot community, who are working really hard for every nickel and penny that they've got. And yet they still acknowledge that if there is a real physiological, tangible, real world value, health wise, especially in the era that we're living in right now, and especially when that value can be derived from what we would call the next generation of medicine, or the next generation of the healing and wellness mindset of the world, then I think a lot of people out there are willing to part ways with a little bit of time from work, or drive a little bit of a distance, right? Make a road trip out of it or whatever, or a long extended weekend, and come and expose themselves to a field, an electrocellular field at the end of the day, right? That accelerates their body's capacity to heal its own self. And that's really what we're talking about. And it sounds to me like, between the EE system, which covers a number of states, and then the plasma med beds, which you listed off about 6 or 8 states right there, we have a large web, a good basis, if you will, for, being within, say, a day's drive of just about everyone out there in one form or another, maybe with some notable exceptions somewhere. So, Ms. Scodari, as we're closing off today, and as we're, talking about how these things really affect us in the real world, I want to share a couple of screens here, because I thought these results that you had sent over to me, specifically these, were just very, very powerful. I think worth people noting, because at the end of the day, we all like to see results. We're a very results-oriented culture here in the United States, for certain, and really in Western Europe as well. We pride ourselves in being able to get things done. And when we have good real world, real time examples that we are getting things done, it's just very, very encouraging. So here I've got a result that you had sent over that dealt with organ balance and energy before and after. Could you help the audience understand what this
So
breakdown means?
this is the bio wall that we were speaking about, where it measures their energy from their fingertips. And if you just look at the before and after, it's very clear. And this was just before and just after the plasma medbed. So this is not including 2 hours in the EE system. This is a half hour on the plasma medbed alone. And these are the different systems in the body. So if you look at the change, like in the head from the before and after, it's increased. It's increased an entire point. So went from 2.55 to 3.46, if people can't read it. Cardiovascular went from 4.79 to 4.76, excuse me, 4.35. The immune system down at the very bottom, that one didn't increase as much. The nervous system went from the second from the bottom, the nervous system went from 2.96 to 4.33. That's a pretty nice improvement right there. And you can see on each of them, there was improvement. And this was just a half hour on the plasma medbed. So I think that's pretty significant. And I think, I know you have, I don't know if you have another Maria's, but I know you have some Mary. You have Mary recently just came to
Put
us.
this up here on
She
this.
just left this, she just left this past weekend, Mary. I think we have her energy scan.
I believe
So
this.
this is her energy scan, and this was before and after the plasma medbed. Now, if you look at the top, you can see the orange, and you could see the breaks in those in that energy field around the body, right? It's like, look at the middle one at the top, how it's all sporadic. It's all broken. And then if you look down at the bottom, it's more even. Everything is more, you got a little more thickness, right? And you have a little bit more energy coming out. So less breaks. So that's a big difference. 49 to 54 is quite a big difference in this technology and the way this measures it. I mean, we've seen like 33 to 50 is the biggest we've ever seen in this scan. And then I think you might have a chart with Mary also. And that's gonna,
Let me have a look here and see if I do. I might have
the
that.
one with all the different lines going across. I think that's Mary. It might be Maria.
Here we go. Pardon me just a moment. Pulling it up now.
Okay. If you can maybe zoom that a little bit. So this is measuring, as you can see, her stress levels, her energy, and the balance of her organs. Before the plasma medbed, again, this is right before and right after the plasma medbed. So it's not, it's not skewed with the EE system as well. She went from, she was high, her stress level was high, and it was a 4.61. In the lower one, it went down to 3.76, which is, pretty significant as well. Her energy was 33.40 in the top one. It was just in the optimal range on the second, the after. And then if you scroll up just a little bit, SG and on, the organ disbalance looks like it was optimal, but no, it wasn't. It was high. Forgive me. It was high DOMS. It was 11.92. It's in the pink. And then it actually quite a great difference in the balance of her organs, all in the optimal at 3.51. So, what we do is, for everybody that comes to the center, we offer as a complimentary scan, so that, because people need to know, everybody leaves feeling better, SG and on. everybody leaves, I would say 99% of people leave having more energy, stronger constitution, better focus, higher mood, less depressed. Like this is all good for your moods as well. Um, but for people to actually see it on paper that they've gotten these results, it's very encouraging for people. So we always offer that first one as complimentary before and after. Um, so that, I mean, hopefully that helps the audience believe in this technology, you know.
Well, what's exciting is you're talking about the elimination really of chronic disease. We have, trauma, right? These uh, injury events that sometimes befall us, and there is a place for triage. There's a place for, emergency surgery, these sorts of things. But when we're talking about maintenance of the biome, maintenance of the organism, maintenance of the human body, and optimization of the human body's own faculties. I mean, these are faculties that we're born with. They're suppressed right from the time we're born through all different forms, right? And then we're poisoned in every way conceivable as we walk through life. And these sorts of technologies, what you're talking about, and I don't think it's overblown to say, is the elimination of the disease-based profiteering complex. And nothing, I think, Ms. Scodari, could be more exciting than that. And Patriots, with that, and Ms. Scodari, thank you very much for coming this afternoon. I appreciate it, and the divulgence that we've been granted to go in and actually examine how these technologies work, the time frames. Really quickly before we break off here and close this out, where can people find you?
Okay, so we are in New Jersey, Hillsborough, New Jersey. It's central, close to Princeton. Um, and you'll have my website and my phone number and the address there. So we're New Jersey. I mentioned there's one with the EE system and the plasma medbed in Dothan, Alabama. That's called Energy Spaces. And then Mel Carmine is stayingalive.com with 2 I's. And he's in Florida with more geriatric population, so he chose that kind of funky name. But he has the plasma medbed and the EE system as well. And we do try to make this affordable for people, especially like if somebody needs to do a retreat because they're very sick. Like I think probably every EE system owner and most people that have the plasma medbed, I came out of retirement for this. So I didn't come out of retirement. I came out of retirement with the purpose of helping to be a part of healing the world the correct way. And I love what you said about these quantum energies will be the medicine of the future. And, right now they don't give you hope for cancer. They don't give you hope for, we had a man that was paralyzed for 36 years. And he spent 4 hours in the EE system and was starting to feel things in his legs. Like they don't give you hope for so many illnesses out there, right? So there's hope here. And, if somebody's dealing with something serious, just get yourself to one of these centers. If there's no centers that have the plasma medbed and the EE system close to you, you're welcome to do a retreat at my place or Mel's place or probably in Alabama as well. But just even if you get to just the EE system, just spend a lot of time there. Make a commitment to your own health. And the last thing I want to say, if you don't mind, because I forgot to say it, is when people go in these energy fields and go into prayer or meditation, do their spiritual practice, they go much deeper. So that's proof that this is a higher spiritual frequency that we're dealing with. We're able to get in touch with our own divine consciousness much better, much deeper when we're in these technologies. And I think, that's a really important aspect of healing that not too many people talk about. We talk about changing our diets. We talk about changing our thinking. But what about the spiritual aspect of us? That has to be fed and nurtured also.
Incredible. What a fantastic way to close it off. And there you have it, Patriots. And we'll be back with you again soon on the Q News Patriot audio file series and on the next exciting, exhilarating Q News Patriot audio chat. Ms. Scodari, thank you very much for your time this evening. This is SG Anon, everyone. Be safe. Bye-bye.